Hey everybody, my name is Eriberto, and this is my presentation on smoke jumpers. So, what are smoke jumpers? Smoke jumpers are a group of wildland firefighters. They're a strategic, rapid initial attack force, and as you can kind of guess from the picture, they jump down from planes about 3,000 feet up in the air, and so they're a combination of aviators and really great firefighters. And then, let's see if it'll load. Oh, yeah. Alright, here's a quick video of kind of just them jumping out of the plane, what it looks like. So, that's pretty much the view you would get if you ever become a smoke jumper. And then, so a brief bit of their history. They start out in about 1939. It was put forth by David P. Goodwin. So he kind of engineered the whole first program. Their first test jump was in 1939, but it wasn't really until the Triple Nicks, an all black battalion in the 1940s, who were trained as smoke jumpers to fight against Japanese firebombs or wildfire bombs on the West Coast. While they didn't see much deployment, their rapid initial response to it really gave smoke jumpers their credibility and helped them receive a lot of that federal funding. And then, so what are the requirements to being a smoke jumper? So you have to be a seasoned firefighter. You have to have at least 4 to 5 years minimum. This isn't a position for rookies. They want you to either have 2 seasons on a Type 1 hotshot crew or a Type 2 initial attack crew. So pretty much similar, but hotshots like front lines, fighting the most complex, giant wildfires. You need to have really good physical fitness, far beyond that of a normal firefighter. And if you're under 5 feet tall and over 6.5 feet tall, you cannot qualify for this position. So some of the physical requirements, like mentioned earlier. So just to get in, you need to be able to do 7 pull-ups, 45 sit-ups, 25 push-ups, and run a mile and a half in less than 11 minutes. And then that doesn't sound like that crazy, but you also need to be able to carry around 115 pounds for 10 miles or more, and not just a straight line or walking around a track, but really rough terrain. So the training for this, they have about a 4 to 5 week long boot camp, and the physical training consists of like runs with packs, 3 mile long hikes, 100, like I said, 115-pound pack earlier, tree climbing, fire line protection management, endurance runs, and a lot of obstacle courses just to prepare them for anything they would find out in the wild, since they do parachute into all these areas where normal crews can't get to or quick enough to begin fighting fires. So parachute training, they learn how to pack and deploy the parachute. They practice landing from this piece of equipment called a roller, so it teaches them how to land from different heights and angles. They practice spotting, which is one of their most important skills, assessing the wind conditions, time, and knowing when to jump out of the plane and where to land. And then, yeah, how to jump out of the plane, land with your gear. And they do about over 20 safety jumps. So when it comes to their equipment, it gets broken down into 4 different groups. You got your wearables, your food, water, and shelter, like any firefighters, your axes and your saws, and any additional supplies they might need. So your wearables will include things like your jumpsuit, which has a really high collar to protect against tree branches if you end up falling in a tree. Your helmet, which either comes with a grid or no grid. I think I'd want a grid just in case I get hit by a branch in the face. And then you got boots, all leather, helps them walk on even rough terrain, especially if you're in them for all day. Then you have your packs, which again carry all that gear that you need. Then you have your other protective gear like gloves, knee pads, elbow pads, the helmet, anything like that. So in food, water, and shelter, they are out here for about roughly 48 hours. They can be there on their own, and a lot of their food is airdropped in, as you can see down in this picture. But they do have about 2 days worth of rations with them. They also have sleeping bags. You can sleep whenever you can. The work is very tiring. You got your personal fire shelter, so this is in case everything just goes like really bad and you need to bunker down really quick, and fire's coming at you quick and rapid. You just throw this on. Doesn't seem that comfortable, but it'll keep you alive. And then you got your portable water pumps. So it's used to transport water. They don't really use it to directly fight fires, but it is really good for putting out hotspots after the initial attack. And then, so like any firefighters, your axes and your saws. So a lot of these are a combination of raking and cutting, like you can see. So you got the McLeod, which is a way bigger rake. You got the Combi, which is a shovel and an axe. Then you got your kind of regular axe, the Pulaski, which has that kind of curved side, so you can uproot a lot of topsoil, create those trench lines, and then regulate cutting trees. And you have your chainsaws, which are usually the only kind of motorized equipment they use, since when you're jumping from that height, there's like a lot of risk of damaging the equipment. So they would prefer hand tools. And then any additional supplies. So they got really big pockets on their smoke suits, like mentioned, or I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. But So they have essential emergency disaster kits. They got rations, drinking water. They got the remote radio and walkie-talkies. So it's really good for communication because not only do they have people flying above them, but the rest of the crews can't always see them in the fire and just in the wilderness in the forest. You also have glow sticks, flashlights, flares, flags, and emergency whistles. We don't, or they don't really have pass devices out there, but the whistles and other things like that can really help you locate a firefighter. And then, so how do they actually fight that fire? So a lot of it isn't about putting out the fire immediately, which it is the end goal. There, a lot of them are for suppression and containment. Since they're deployed to these fires very early on, they want to stop them before they get to be really big blazes. So it's they use a lot of the same crew or a lot of the same skills that wildland firefighters do, since they use hotshot crews. Um, Once they land, the incident commander is going to do a size up. He's going to see the weather, the terrain, the fire rate, its growth, and its spread, and what fuel it's burning. And then you establish what's called an anchor in an unburnable area, as close as you can get to one. So that could either be an area that you've cleared out of all the vegetation that's already been burned over, or it's like a naturally unburnable area, like a lake or a bunch of rocks. And then so they build scratch lines, coordinate airdrops of water, digging trenches, and then they can also do fire lines or controlled burning. So they can burn a lot of that vegetation early on before the fire can get to it. And then, yeah, so you got anchor, pinch, flank. So here they're using trucks, which they would not use in smoke jumping because that kind of the whole point of them is that they can get there quickly where regular equipment couldn't get to. But it kind of shows you. So what they'll do is they'll flank it. They'll have their road, which is their anchor point, so the fire can't get to them. They need to fall back. They can do that, and then they'll slowly flank it on the side, and then finally pinch it at its point, so it can't keep going. And then over here we have them digging trench lines, which you want to start the fire of its fuel, contain it. If you can't get past that, then you're good. And then you have controlled fires, so they're kind of setting it up to burn and making sure that the fire, when it reaches there, won't have enough fuel. And so, yeah, that's about the end. I hope you guys liked the presentation and want to give another look into smoke jumpers.